Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
There is a huge burden on you who became satellites. Try to understand that with what happened in Linz this week, and with the first test, we have set a precedence for the whole change of the structure. Your child cries, he doesn't talk, you reach his soul, you understand where the pain is. You have a mentally handicapped child. You want to know how you can bring the change. You reach the soul. Does the physicality matter? Those of you who are beautiful people will come to understand, to see all the members of the family within the one physical structure. We shall see from what we saw this week, end of what I call, or the beginning to an end of the knowledge of what we build and nourished as prisons. We see an end to addiction. We see an end to criminality, and we see an end to kingship. We see the beginning of how we transmute people's soul, elevate them, nourish them, and like a dream you had, return back to them. What we saw this week in Linz, without a doubt, will bring massive changes to many of us. And as a head of the Keshe Foundation, and responsible for setting up the One Race Planet, as I have agreed before I arrived here, will endeavor to bring that as fast as possible to be applicable. And it brings a positive change. The world is going through a position of mayhem, not knowing uncertainty, and this uncertainty is creating more problems in the coming months and years, and we are here to use it to change the course for peace. We are not standing for elections, we are not standing to interfere with powers. We elevate the soul of the man in a very massive way. Now there are physical systems, and it can be shown and it'll be developed for all levels of understanding. This process of transmutation of the soul and transmutation of soul of physicality, which is confirmed this week, will bring us many, many changes. Will bring us amazing amount of changes. I hope, as human race, as knowledge seekers, you understand what you have entered into and what you have brought to be, and what is about to come, and how much change it will come and bring for all of us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 459th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 17th, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in these weekly Knowledge Seekers Workshops. And once again, we have the pleasure of having Mr. Mehran Keshe as our guide in today's workshop. And I think he's ready to begin with another round of knowledge here. Mr. Keshe, are you there?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of the Keshe Foundation, the Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back, and we endeavor, as I always say, to learn more. We're all knowledge seekers. We are here to understand and to see what we can add to our knowledge that we might help us somewhere down the line when need be. First of all, we congratulate the Americans who managed to get themselves off the ground successfully yesterday, and hopefully in the next 3 or 4 days, as they say, they will reach the orbit of the moon. They spend 2 or 3 weeks there, and as usual, like a baby, they'll come in and jump in the pool and make a bigger splash when they land. And it'll be interesting to see how the development and what we call half a century of waiting will bring us. We hope that they will make their way to space by 2025, as they're hoping, and return back to the moon. And as we said, I was talking to someone yesterday, we'll have the table of the wine from Italy and some other things waiting for them to greet them back. The true knowledge of the space comes out of understanding the work of the space, not the work of the man to overcome the work of the space, as NASA is doing and others do. In the past 4 or 5 months, you have been with us, you supported us in every shape or form. Some over 200 of you came to Linz, some of you joined us from distance, and more or less a lot of you became part of the what we call motions, the members of the human race who endeavor to take the first steps. When you see the Apollo, people will go to the moon or back to moon in 2 years, is exactly what you've done in the past 4 months. You're one of them. Just getting out to see what is there, what it'll be, what they might be, what experiences are, that the next generation can open the door, that we get more people, and somehow over the next half a century, man with a dream of NASA might make a base with a few people, as we've done with what we call the space station. But the interesting point is, as we tested, we have now delivering the new systems, the life will change. The life will change for many of you and has changed for many of you from today. I'll explain to you in a step-by-step as you all been with us and you came across the line with us and you worked with us. In a way, us as the Keshe Foundation, some front, some in the back, some people we know, some people we don't, but we take the knowledge and we make the best of it, what we can do. One of the biggest problems with going to space, as I explained in the last sessions, is understanding that the energy we are used to is the energy of the earth. That 20% food which we consume. To become man of space, we have to understand the energy of the cosmos. Because otherwise, we die. In space, we don't need that 20% energy anymore. Because we do not know which part of this universe we are citizens of. And what is the need in that point. So the feeding of the 80%, understanding how that 80% receives his food, become paramount for the man if he is going to jump out of that fly suits that the Americans have created for the astronauts, and the Russians and the Chinese are hoping to do. This week, we have reached out to the what we call Israeli scientists to join us in this endeavor. We wait and we'll see the response. We need a lot of them, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the Israelis, the Americans, the Brazilians, and the rest of us in Europe, that we collectively cross this line. The feeding of that 80%. Understanding that if you can make the 80%, and you know how to manipulate it, you can get the other 20% from cosmos too, if you stay within the body of the man. In the teaching of last couple of weeks, I referred to this because, as I said, we become universal passengers. We need to understand the cosmos. We need to understand how the rays of the Creator transfers across the universe, what we call cosmic rays. These are God's rays. These are the rays from the source, from the Creator, that through division and interactions of what I call travel the span of the universe. Somewhere down the line, this will create another sun, these cosmic rays, and then with it we'll see life and we see the love of Creator within that star and the solar system which they create. So when we speak about cosmic rays, we speak about the rays of the Creator. What their motion has led to creation of our solar system and others, and will lead to creation of others and other lives in the future. Then we have to respect and understand the totality of the knowledge when we call it a cosmic ray. When we create the rays which can match the rays of the Creator. This is what cosmic ray, this is what life to me as a scientist is. We saw the birds fly, we made aircraft. We saw the brain of the man when we made computers to match it. Now we understand the process of creation and we attempt to create the lights, the rays, the fields, the emotions of the Creator through the understanding of the man, through the new systems. Initially, we brought this out to you as enhancement, where your soul became that star. Your soul became that point, and the units and the reactors around it became the satellites. In the process of all this understanding, we tried and we endeavored to push the limitation of understanding to a further point. In this process, we have gone a step further. As now we understand, and our team are working and now have already developed the condition of the creation of the cosmic rays through the fields of the magnetic field, which is the basis, the fundamental understanding of what we call creation. A new cycle, a new what we call technology has emerged in the past few weeks, where, as we said last week, we have managed and now we can produce fields, electric currents, and power out of the motion of cosmic rays, which means we have achieved the ultimate goal to be able to produce fields which is and are at the strength of the human body, which means we can feed the man, which means an end to hunger, an end to pharmaceutical. And this process will go to its next step. Gradually, in the coming days and weeks, we introduce new technology, new dimension, new understanding. And with you as those numbers who became groups of coming to Austria, those of you who joined us in one short session with Rick and then another session with Rick, with many of you online, without you knowing, we were testing huge technological development, which we're going to share with you part of it today and gradually in the coming weeks. In the process of past weeks, as you were with us, as you came here, as you became mobile and whatever to be part of, we continuously tested things in the background to understand the process of transferring and understanding the process of the completion of the cosmic rays. With some of you knowing and unknowingly became part of that process. You gave us the information we were looking for. The guy who tasted the mango, we set it up to see exactly how it does. Because I set the system to feed and he got the food. I asked him, try to eat something. We tested this with a lot of other things. One of the major points, which has been for us, one of the major stumbling blocks to release the health technology of the Keshe Foundation was that we had to rely on what we call the diagnosis. Diagnosis on a physical dimension. In the Keshe Foundation, we don't touch health. We process the life. The health, hospitals, and the rest is the work of what I call physicians and what I call for pharmaceutical to supply. We have entered a new dimension. We have entered as we have, in a very simple way, in the past, we explained to those who came in touch with us, the doctors and the scientists, when I gave clear what I call explanation to Naturopathica of the Belgium years ago, what this technology means. Maybe now you understand it. In the process of any change in the body of the man, be it a cancer, be it an ulcer, be it a heart problem, be it ligaments of your leg, or be it a cell in your brain, all have and all receive and all work through the soul of the man. The interaction of the soul of the man with the soul of physicality of the man creates the emotion, which that emotion transfers is what we call fields to every part of the body, which has the strength field of absorbing it, receiving it. You feel cold, every hair on your body stands. You feel love. It shakes every cell within your body that it feels love. You feel hunger. Every cell feels it, as is shared by the soul of physicality and the soul of the man. In this process, we have come to the point that now we understand, and we have tested through the enhancement units, and all of you who came to us in the past few months, and those who we work with, the process of completing. One of the main problems, or one of the last hurdles or last understanding that our technology is perfect, was that you came to us saying you have Parkinson's. You came to us saying that you had Alzheimer's. You came to us having your brain tumor, and you came to us having you have a cancer or whatever. The solution sits within the soul of the man. The solution sits within the strengthening, the expansion of the soul of the man. As I said, there's no use repairing a car all the time after accident when you have not changed the brake. The whole structure and the work of the Keshe Foundation in the past few months, with you being happy to go to the moon, with you happy to go to see your uncle, or God knows, go somewhere else, was for us to see the path, the way our system was setting, and where it's going, and how it goes, and how it sets, and how we can get there. Interesting, as I said many times, you didn't go to see the uncle most of the time, or you didn't go till we instruct you. You're waiting for the instruction, which plane to catch. So it became clear for us that the technology we developed was 100% correct. We could reach, we could, in a way, set the path, not dictate, but create conditional. And one of the major problems with the whole of the work of the Keshe Foundation has been to pinpoint diagnosis. As I said, if you are doctors and you work with us in any country, usually the patients come with a blood test, blood pressure, size of the cell, everything else but the truth about the construction of the man. In a way, they show you the damaged car, but they don't show you where the fault is, that this damage you see on the paper sits. We introduced the condition of a new type of blood test for the doctors who work with us. We ask for the elements of the body of the man, which means the copper, the zinc, the nitrogen, interaction of the Ds, and how they interact, where they interact, leads to the blood results the doctor give you. And this is what the world of medicine have not understood. But now we go one step further. The composition of these elements in the blood report of the zinc and the copper and whatever is dictated by the interaction of the soul with its environment, with its spirit or the soul of physicality. So up to now, we brought you the doctors and the people who work with us understood that now we work with what we call what led to the car crash. But for past times, we work with was the principle. Now we're going to see who actually made the brakes that was faulty, that led to the accident, that then you get the repairs. Now we have seen strange achievements with just that elements. Now going to the what I call the guy who made it, and led to the creation and the work of that brake, which in its component have the zinc and the copper and the rest, which led to the accident, has become the target. This is where we call working with the soul, the essence of the creation, of the physicality of them. We could not work with that side if we would not understand how it's fed, who is supplying it, where does energy come from, where does materials come from, what kind of material reaches it, that in interaction with the spirit of the man creates that elements which creates that blood vessel. The missing part for us was to create that field, that source of energy we call the cosmic rays, that feeds the soul, that in interaction with the spirit and the magnetic field of the earth lead to creation of the elements, which their interaction leads to the creation of the blood and the man. In a way, as I always said, physics starts with magnetic fields. The interaction of the fields creates what we call the world of plasma. And then interaction of the plasma leads to creation of physics, which is the elements. And the interaction of the elements gives us chemistry. And the interaction of the chemistry, which gave us the blood, gives us the physicality of the man, which is the matter state, which is us. So we had to bring you in past 10, 20 years to get to the source where the cosmic rays are, how they come and how much the soul gets, and go back to my teachings for past decade. Always said, we have to come to the point that to feed the soul, that the soul feeds the physicality, that man shall not kill, not only himself, but psychosomatic conditions of the cancer, from a prostate cancer to God knows every other thing. So the whole structure of completion was to achieve the cosmic ray, that you can feed the soul. And now we have achieved it. And now that we have translated it into the energy fields in a matter of cognition of the fields of the universe, man is free. How this is going to build us, how this is going to touch humanity in the coming time, all depends from today onwards. I explained to you why it's from today onwards. We have built what we call the headlands to create condition of feeding what we call the soul. And in that process, we have come to the point that we can replicate the source of essence of the creation of cosmic rays and a power system that can maintain it. Which means we will and we shall, what we call, continue with expansion of the fields to the soul of the man. With a new technology, as of today, the process of feeding the man, the process of helping the man with his needs on the what we call level of the physicality becomes simple. We have built the systems, and we have seen the production of the gases and the cosmic rays, as I call that white, bright light. And now we reach a pivotal point. We will change from today the history of the man. You will understand why. We have parallels, and we understand this fully because it's a working parallel. Today, we have open computer centers. We have open server centers where we go to as a Google, as or something else to get knowledge, to get access, to get information. In a way, we have created farms of what we call information banks, but none of us knows where they are. Nobody has or can access them except you have the access code, and they can be anywhere on this planet. Some of us, we call it the cloud. Some of us, we call it hard servers in server houses. But in fact, they're there, and we can reach them at any time. With what we have gathered today, with the knowledge we have, and what we've done, we create what we call cosmic centers, where it'll be like the hospitals, it'll be like the supermarkets, and it'll be like many other things which the man needs. Which means you can tap into it and receive energies which are needed by the soul to feed the physicality anywhere on this planet. What we call wellness farm centers will become a reality in a very rapid way. You tap into and you get diagnosed what you caught in the past few minutes, and you tap into and you receive the energy and information which will change a given specific fields in the soul strength that will change the soul of physicality and the physicality. The biggest problem will be the transition time. How we go and reverse the cancers through the soul. How we go and reverse the Alzheimer's, the Parkinson's. And then we bring in what I call balance. We come to the point that once we get to the balancing point by going to this, what we call cosmic centers, through the phone line, through satellites or whatever, on a regular basis, as we get fed for what is short, there'll be no more diseases for us to cure, for us to process, because we take the disease out of its source at the point of the soul. When you are not happy with your son, which leads to the cancer of your prostate 7, 10 years, 20 years down the line, by receiving the love which you wanted, by the energy you required, that the sun does not give you, you never create that cancer. So, preempting, or in a way creating condition of balancing over a time, will get rid of the disease of the man. All what we know will not be there. Prevention by feeding will stop the catching and creating the diseases of the future. In a way, prevention by allowing thus what we call the cosmic centers will allow man to tap into at any time. The beauty of it is that no pharmaceutical can lock it up. No government can stop you receiving food. No government can block you from gas and electricity. As Keshe Foundation technology becomes a process of a free access to all. Nobody can sell you a better version, a luxury version, and God knows a poor version. We all get access to the same energies as we fed through our soul. With this process, man will become independent of the earth and allows us to become the passengers of the universe, because in progressive development and understanding of the technology, we tap into the universal cosmic rays from the source. The moon is strength, the Mars is strength, another galaxy is strength. And it'll be instantaneous, as many of you have tasted it and tested it in the enhancement centers. You went to the moon, you didn't wait for 3 days, 4 days for the rocket to take you. You're instantly there. The new, what I call Maghreb cosmic centers for man will come into operation in the next 24 hours, 48 hours. The first units we already have in this. Our team are just putting the last touches to it. As I said to them this morning, give me the good news that you achieve what the target was, then you can put it out and we can show it. In a way, we have achieved, now we can miniaturize it to millimeters, embed it even in the body of the man. That if you are somewhere out of the reach of your cosmic, what we call farm, you feed yourself. You hold it in your hand and you possess what you need. You carry it within the structure of your body. It's everywhere in the universe to feed you. You'll never go short of energies, or what you call human hunger. The cornerstone of this is set. We are going through tests. We need to test more, and we develop this technology in a very rapid way. In so many ways, what you were thinking and what we asked you for remote and mobile transmutation and everything else, we have been testing in the background with a number of people on their health and on their food and on their connection exactly where we want to diagnose. Without the present man knowledge of diagnosis, we diagnose the essence of the emotion. We diagnose where the soul, with the soul of physicality, have come to a misunderstanding or creation of cancer. You've been waiting to become the mobile people to transmute. We have been testing the mobile systems on real cases. Diagnostic, delivery, extent of it, and seeing how it changes. We see people walk into unit, bent and crippled, and walk out different. And if you do it 3 or 4 times, which every cell had time to repair, you will see no, what we call, misphysicality. One of the biggest completion for us was diagnosis. Now the process is developed and it can be diagnosed. In a way, we don't look at your physical shaking as a epileptic. We don't look at you forgetting as Alzheimer's. We don't look at you cancer in your prostate. We look, we feel where in the brain we see the problem. You call it the pain. I have a pain in my head. You call it a pain. I feel heat in my brain. It wasn't there till we introduced it, till we interacted with it, and it was diagnosed. This is what it is. That's where the damage is. That's where the repair comes from. And then this will create the emotions, how to handle it, how these emotions will come to be complete. It's very interesting to see how in the coming time, knowledge seekers will go through. You remember 4 or 5 months ago, we came to you and we asked you to come to Linz to perfect the system. Thank you for all of you who came. The system is complete, but that was for transmutation. Now, the Keshe Foundation, as of today, is ready to complete the process of processing your conditions. What does this mean? You came to Linz to see what you can dream, where you can go, and teach us and for us to learn which part of the technology we developed is perfect. We started with 3 chairs. We went to 1 unit, 2 units, and 2 more new units, and 2 more other units are getting developed on the back of what you brought us and our people could build. Now we come to you in a different way. We are putting it to you in a very, very simple way. We are looking for those of you who have cancer of prostate. We are looking for those of you who suffers from epileptic attack. We are looking for those of you who suffer from MS. We are looking for you who suffer from ILS. We are looking for those of you who suffer from what we call ADHD, fibromyalgia. We are looking for those of you who have, and you come to suffer from what we call a specific syndrome through the lack of oxygen at the point of birth, which affects the brain of the children. Suppose. We are looking for those of you who have come to us asking how we can help with the process of what we call depression. The Keshe Foundation processing team doctors are ready to handle from today. Go back to the conditions which I explained. We are not handling pharmaceutical. We are putting you in touch with the doctors who, through understanding of the process of Keshe Foundation and our technology, will be able to process these things back. Keshe Foundation does not go into health business as we are a knowledgeable processing system, which means we do not come across pharmaceutical. We got nothing to do as we don't touch. We go through the process of the energy of the creation, and those of you, as I explained, listen to them, get in touch with us today. And as last time many of you came to Linz to go through the process, we don't need you to move from your home. The changes will be brought to you in your chairs, in your beds, in your homes. The mobile, what I call cosmic ray process, will start from next week. The way you came to us to help us to develop, to understand, to confirm the process of the manufacturing our system. Now, the mobile, what I call processing of the conditions through the work of the foundation, is at reach of everyone. As I said to a mother yesterday, you do not need to travel from Brazil. As I said to another man, you do not need to come from Texas. And I said to another person, you don't need to leave China. The technology is complete that you can get processed by the farms. Nobody knows where the systems are, and you receive the help. We have 20 spaces available for next week. The way you came to us to test, send your request directly to health@spaceshipinstitute.org. We can do it now. We have condition you have to meet. We go through your process, and then from then on, we'll see how we can do, and we'll bring you in next week. Just 1 second. Sorry about that. You can't stop the postman. Just 1 second, please.
Just as a reminder, here's the email address that Mr. Keshe was talking about, health@spaceshipinstitute.org.
We have just received the message that one of members of Universal Council, due to an accident, has passed away. Though Naeem, as a member of Hebrew Universal Council, we just been informed has passed away due to an accident yesterday. And this brings us sadness. And his funeral is this afternoon at 3:30. I worked in the background with him in understanding of working with the Israeli government to bring peace to Middle East. We wish for the elevation of his soul, and I'm sure he has achieved what he came, a beautiful man. Universal Council members are the connection between the man and the universal community and the creator. He did everything possible to bring understanding to the Israeli government about the technology and the things it could. And yesterday morning, in my communication with the Israeli connections of our what we call a structure with the new government by the turning of Netanyahu back into power to start dialogue. He was supposed to establish the first lines of the talk between Keshe Foundation and the Israeli government. There's always a reason. And I hope he still keeps his line of connection to bring what was his wish in a dimension of physicality to the nation of Israel. I would like to go for a silence. Then we come back. The strangest thing is that yesterday morning, at about 10 o'clock, talking to these radio officials and our go-between, Naeem was supposed to start meeting with the Israelis in Tel Aviv to lay down the transfer of technology in the space level to the Israeli scientists. That we could bring the Iranians and the Israelis to work together in a space, the new space era. I'm sure after the teaching, when I inform our negotiating go-between of this, will bring us a lot of what we call reorganization to see where we can go, how we can. He was a military man who became civilian, devoted to peace. He was to spearhead the peace negotiations. Transfer of technology and the ethos of the Keshe Foundation to what we call his nation. Sorry to hear him passing. And I hope he finds peace and elevation in all levels. He was working miracles to do things to bring that change. Thank you very much. I hope he receives all the blessing he needs. He has a very young family. Break, can we go for a break and come back? Or just put one of the small teachings about the soul and we come back.
Thought I might play the movie, The Formation of the Universal Council, that we play in the One Nation group.
Please, yes, please do so.
Okay, thank you.
It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent his messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that They bring the ears that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the message, not to oppose. But by them understanding through those who have become Messiahs to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, the path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness by giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look to our soul, we see nothing but a star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand. To be there, to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle, which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and in the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Okay, here we are back at the 459th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. I'm not sure if you're there, Mr. Keshe. Would you like me to carry on with further videos?
No, just give me a few seconds, please.
Okay.
Yes, sorry about that. Thank you very much, Rick. My condolences to the whole of the Keshe Foundation family. And I'm sure we'll find somewhere for peace and to understand. And let's see what comes and what brings us. What is the next step? And why this has happened now. Thank you very much, Rick. There is a reason for it, and I'm sure somewhere down the line we'll see, we understand, and we'll come to comprehend why it had to happen this yesterday. Thank you very much. Going back to the teaching, as I said, we have now achieved a position to do the whole of the operation of the processing through remote. And we need to do this and to understand the totality of it, that as we are completing the transmutation systems, we can make any adjustments or anything that it might need to be added to the systems before they are literally completed and go into operation. What does this mean is that those of you who understand the process, you can join us. The link is given above. To join the process, it'll go to the team of doctors. They look at it and they see if the case is approval for them. And then we start the process. Everything is ready to start next week, the first part of it. So we just received a couple of people sending emails and making, inquiries, which will go to the doctors, and then they will decide. And you'll be contacted in the next few days that we can start the process like we did with the others on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And see, as we succeeded in the completion of the flight system, we complete what we call the processing side, and then we can go to the next step. That when we go for what we call the space test early next year, will be complete. We'll be completely there to what we call have a complete process of transmutation. Not only the physicality, the process of the feed, and the process of what we call being able to correct and adjust everything which is needed. The most important thing for the whole adding this together is that we have a full comprehensive flight system. And as I said, always while you're in that process, as we tested, as many of you have been there, understand the process, and for us complete the next step. With this process of what we call the working of the body of the man, the physical condition, and understanding what will change and how it will change, will give us an opportunity to understand how others change in interaction with us, what effect we have on environment we live in, what we change, what we need to change to receive the other 20%, that we shall not do what we've done up to now. Mankind is ready for that change, and we are there to learn and support it and go further. We learned a lot from your visits and your support with the enhancement unit. And now next 4 or 5 weeks through this process, we adjust all our systems, that the new systems are what we call a cosmic system. You made the magraphs, and I kept on explaining many times, don't look at the physicality of it, look at the field they create. If you remember, John showed how he walked amongst them and how they could turn up the fluorescent light tubes in some of their tests, and how they could measure the field's distance away from the collection of magraphs. Now, with achieving what we call the gases and the cosmic rays, you can see the whole thing complete, the whole structure complete. Producing a cosmic magraph system which creates that field dimension was the ultimate goal of teaching and everything else, bringing the gas, the motion of the gas, the fields of the gases in conjunction with the power generation system, which creates, this is how the stars work. They create their own energy. They create the combination of interaction of the fields, and with it they create a magnetic field, which the interaction of magnetic fields leads back to the generation of the energy, which is what we call a self-sustaining condition. This is how planetary work, how the stars work, how solar systems work. Now we have achieved it. The systems are complete and they're going through their test. And in that process, we see more changes. The new enhancement units, as I said, you feel the strength of the cosmic rays, the fields of what we call the magnetic fields. You feel it when you enter the zone, when you enter the system, because now the two systems are built, they're next to each other. They're getting fitted. What we call the energy units have already been built in, and we feel it. And with the creation of cosmic rays and now adding up the energy unit, they become independent. We don't need to charge them because they receive the fields they need from the system themselves, and they create that as they need it. The new enhancement unit, magnet, what we call cosmic rays, you feel the light, you feel the energy. And this is the energy which we were short of. This is what we grab from bits from our soul, what we call through the dimension of the soul, the central energy of our body from the cosmos. Now we don't need to grab. It's there, we take what we need, and this allows no deviation, doesn't allow any fault, doesn't allow the process of what we call solar physicality, or what we call the spirit, or what we call the interaction of the blood field flows in the body to be short of. Then we do not see diseases. We do not see anything else because everything is fed and is balanced. We saw this when we had the people in a flight test. When you ask them to go to a place, if it's in balance and we put a partner on the other side, they feel each other. We seen, as one partner explained, sitting on the lap of the other. We've seen when one partner in one system shakes with the legs, the other partner shakes in the other system as a passenger, the same motions as the other partner is on the lap. Now, this is a lot of things which is added up to the completion of the system today. So we have come to understand through the process of the MyGraph system, through the process of the gas system, through the process of everything else, the creation of cosmic rays, which is the backbone, is that 80% energy which is missing, and the lack of it leads to all sorts of defects in the condition of physicality as it goes through the brain of the man, as it cannot be fed. So in totality, now the systems are more or less complete. We are, and most probably we can completely go through the process of the new tokamak system. What it means, what was hoping to be a cold fusion to lead to energy production, what was hoping to be the new fusion centers to create that energy fields that you can tap into, now we can do in a simple system with what we call cosmic systems, which we have developed. They can be as small as a battery. They can fit into anything as we dimension it. It can be as big as a gas cylinder. But you create now energy at the point of need and for permanent. These systems do not run out of energy unless there is a leak or say some misbalance. You can set them that they work. You can set them that they create energy from interaction of their own fields, and you create the condition for the fields to interact the way you want. This will change a lot of things. I was hoping that we could show these systems today. Our team has a little bit more to do, and we most probably will show you the first, what we call cosmic plasma MyGraph systems in a matter of days. Maybe even if they complete today, we might show it tomorrow. It's not completing, it's just what you call testing it, and because they already achieved the microvolt amps and voltage, we have achieved condition of the what we call creation of cosmic rays. This is the final system or beginning of a new systems that is the new generators, is what we came here originally for. We had to feed the maglev systems with the current that they could work. Now the currents from the process they create their own with the ganses creates that process, what we call perpetual production of energy, and depends where we want to tap into it and how we want to tap into it. And as I said a couple of years ago, the enhancement units will be self-sufficient, which means they will not have any connection. Now we have achieved that point. And that process can be miniaturized to micro and milliwatts to megawatts and whatever is needed. We saw the preparation of this in Sanya. The same process in a different structure was tested in Sanya, and it was done, it was built, and it was tested for that time for us to see its work and how it released massive amount of energy that led to the what we call damages in Sanya to a lot of things. But now we have managed to control it. It's a controlled way. It's done in a beautiful way. I saw Chanlin. He's here. He was here a few minutes ago and he's gone. Chanlin was one of the guys who built physical structure of these what we call energy units in China for us. And he was here. I just saw him a few minutes ago. But what we built in China compared to what we have now is a dinosaur of that time. The technology has moved forward quite a lot. And now we can create and we can deliver a complete system, which is energy production, self-sufficient to produce that elusive, what we call cosmic rays, the background fields that all of our creation, all of our life depends on it. And the new, what we call structure, the new enhancement units have already got this built in them. They're actually physically, these cosmic plasma units are already built in. So we've seen it, it's not something to be done. And in a way, what you saw as the gas production unit and what you saw as the energy power units some weeks ago we showed live has moved to the next step, to a higher order, to a higher understanding, totally different in a way, but part of the same knowledge. And the maglev systems, which we many times explain to you to look at the fields of it and not the what we call physical system of it. And we had to connect it to a power supply that it could bring that cycle of release of plasma. Now through the cosmic ray production generation, we have created that power source that we don't need to plug in anymore. This has changed the game, and it's a beautiful system. And hopefully, if we can show it in the coming days, you will see it at its work. It is tested, pre-tested in another laboratory of the Keshe Foundation in the past 2-3 months. And this one here is accumulation or more understanding of what we tested in another position. So different parts of the research has come together and we can deliver the what we call cosmic ray system, which in a way, if I can go back, as I was explaining to people earlier on today, if you remember, and many of you, you sat in those, what we call what we call like a head units. The head units stand free. And if now we place the, what we call the cosmic systems to the foot of this unit, the head unit, you walk in now directly into a total new environment and into what we call a cosmic field environment, which this will change everything else, where now you only interact with what we call the head units when you go in it. As you see in the pictures of the units from LINS, now we're allowing the what we call the cosmic rays, cosmic units to come into operation and interact with the head unit. This will allow us to deliver a complete what we call environment. The phase will be very rapid because it's instantaneous, and we can achieve everything which we really wanted in matter of seconds, not waiting that you might enter that zone of what I call the bubble. We pre-create the bubble and we allow the next phase to come in. And what it is needed to be done, that we can reach the position of the rapid transmutation. We need this bubble. Then waiting for you to create it by the work of the head units, now we preempt it. It's already there, it's already set, and allows us to go in. The Jalal team was trying to create a remote power supply. This will be that remote power supply and will allow us to extend to the next step of the research and development. And it will change a lot of things in the production for creation of the what we call flight system for body enhancement units. The whole thing with this will go ahead in a much faster way. We can achieve what we could not imagine maybe another 2 or 3 years with this development. It's just been brought forward. We can develop this to become the next step for zones where you can walk in with diseases and walk out without diseases. You can walk in hungry and you walk out fulfilled. This new, what we call magnet cosmic unit, will bring us a new dimension of operation and completion of the work. What it will do, it allows the transmutation, it allows the transportation, and it allows the what I call the process of understanding for the whole cycle in a much faster way. We don't wait for your soul to expand the way you could see the bubble. It's already there. You walk into it and you interact immediately, and you can become part of it. You will create that condition of what we call transmutation instantaneously because you're already in it. You're already part of it, and this will allow us to bring forward a much needed what we call the speeding of the technology to come out. And this allows us to bring in the farming, what we call the enhancement unit farms. Or we can even, like in Arizona, anywhere in the world, place these, and any of you can join in into it. It will change a lot of the work which Keshe Foundation has done, and it will bring in a lot of new dimensions of work which you knowledge seekers in a coming time will bring forward. We always given you the first step and you have built on it. Now we bring you the whole understanding, a new way, and more or less what you saw in the system. These head units with what we call the cosmic maglab units in the base of it, will become an independent unit. You can, this development of the cosmic rays through the work of the enhancement units, through the work of the understanding of the maglab technology in a plasma state, not in a matter state, allows us to even have these at home. These units, you go in, you sit in, you're fed, you go in, you want to go somewhere, you're there. You go in, you feel sick, is there. I can envisage this to be, now it's become a practical unit to be. But in the enhancement units which we are building, that it brings a dimension of protection, which here you don't have. You need to be protected in a different way. And the establishment of the big enhancement units is necessary for what we are doing for protecting and everything else. With this, as a household unit, you can do everything with it. In a way, you don't have to worry what will happen with the electricity. Would there be a food? What happened? Can I afford the health cost? This will change the pharmaceutical world. Would the pharmaceutical exist with this technology rapidly grows? As I said, we set out to create, to bring huge amount of finances that we could make the technology reachable by everyone. We got cheated. We lost a lot of money, we found out this week. And he stepped us back. And in that process now, once we secured the technology completely, the way we did with the maglab system, we'll teach it freely across the world. This is the property of humanity and not the Keshe Foundation. We are the developers of it. The way we taught you to do the maglabs, the way we taught everything else. We planned a lot of things that once we get to this point, we can give you everything. But now we lost millions. Everything, we accepted this week that whatever we invested in past year has been cheated out of. Now we go back to the same way. We bring this in to be taught internationally freely. That from China to Brazil, to United States, to Iran, to Africa, anybody can build these systems, can feed themselves, can have the medical application available to them, can have what we call transmutation to them. A man in Africa would not be confined into the jungles of Africa or the jungles of Brazil. He can come to the West, he can be there. The governments have no restriction on it. We will go through this. We will, once completed in the next few weeks, we'll put a green, what we call the blueprint day, and we teach you how to do it. Because I came with nothing, I go with nothing, I have no claim over anything. But the knowledge is there to be given. We taught you step by step how to make the ganses, how to make the maglabs, how to make everything else. Now this is the next step. I've been waiting for this for 40 years, and now it's completed. And maybe we lost what we lost, trusting another knowledge seekers to bring us to a point where we got cheated like everything else. This way, at least it brought us this waiting of a year to the position that we can deliver. We developed it, and together we brought it to where it is. In a way, if you learn how to make a car, you can make a car anywhere. Once we complete, as I said to all of you, the way you supported us with the testing the past 4 or 5 months, support us, and we have a lot of things to do from next week to come in for processing of your whatever conditions which I explained at the beginning. We specifically asked and specified certain conditions that our doctors can process, because this will complete the part of what we want to do with the completion of this, what we call transmutation system. Go through the list, get in touch with the Keshe Foundation, and doctors will come back to you explain the conditions, what it needs to be done, whatever. And like the other time, we bring you, you don't need to come to Liz, we come to you. We tested this with the headphones with a lot of you in past 2 or 3 months in a couple of tests. But this time, instead of doing the transmutation, we bring you the what we call a direct mobile system into your homes. We have tested it both for diagnosis and for processing, and it works. It works beautifully. We can literally pinpoint where the soul interacts with the soul of physicality, where the emotion is. You feel that emotion. It's not us telling you. You tell us where you felt it. And then you see the change. And then you see the what we call the processing. Then you come to understand how much we have gone forward, how much we have what we call moved on. How much the technology has moved forward. You registered to support us with the what we call the flight system. Now register yourself. You have any kind of condition. We are not curing. Our doctors understand the process of the field transmutation and transportation, and they will help with the help of the what we call new technology to bring that change. Parkinson's, epilepsy, CVS, clinical fatigue, FMS, fibromyalgia, children with a brain damage defect during the birth. You have a handicapped child. Our doctors would like to see. These are not going to be free. It's cost a lot of time and money for us to get these things sorted. So we have to recuperate our costs, and it'll be put in that way. The way you paid for flight units, you have to pay for these things too. And when it's completed, then as part of what we develop, we share. You suffer from prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is very important for us because we have a target for it. We have to understand. We are 100% correct in processing it with our doctors. You suffer from depression. Our doctors would like to understand, and then they process the whole thing. You suffer from anything else. Maybe there are conditions we are not aware of. Our doctors will look at it. We are not at Keshe Foundation in the health game. As Keshe Foundation, we are in a space program, and a space program is complete when all needs of the man are met. Not just getting him there, feeding him, looking after his condition, his health, looking after him to be fit. Other part of the exercises which will come to you is how to keep you fit in space. How to be ready for the next step. It's no use you landing on Earth like a zombie. You have to be in a condition that your soul and the soul of physicality accept to be in this condition, to be healthy, to be part of the society, not to appear as a handicap, to be a sucker on the society. So the whole structure has to be correct. And has to be. If you come in with, say, I can do part of the financial thing, we try to find another part, but the cost of the Keshe Foundation has to be met. Being that we always support it, we support where we can. But we are ready to accept through our doctors from next week the conditions which they see fit to process. As I said, health at spaceshipinstitute.org is been opened. Send your request. Don't tell us, I have a brother, I have a sister. They have to understand what they're doing. You have to be able to just not to bring them, and then you can't drag them in because it will work. Because mentally they are not set for it, they will not accept it, and then you say it doesn't work. Bring or come into the condition that it brings that position. And then we, as I said, will put you on to the doctors. The doctors could be, as we said, everything which we want. You could be going to Germany, you could be going to Italy. We can send you to United States or to Brazil, where we will place these, what we call enhancement farms. It makes it easier for us to do, and it makes it easier for more people to reach. As usual, at the beginning, it looks and is expensive, but when it goes and develops, the structure will become more common, then it becomes easier to do. Have a look how much it costs the Americans to put this rocket into space yesterday. Estimated 30 billion. And many of you knowledge seekers went to the moon, went to the other places. You felt the sand, you walked on the sand, you went to see what NASA cannot take you to your grandmother, your mother who passed years ago, and you contributed 1,000 or 2,000 euro. We learned from it. Now the other people are going to enjoy it. You went to the moon on the cheap side. You felt it, not somebody else. You met the mother. NASA has not reached that point yet. They're hoping still to get physicality of 1 or 2 to the moon. Many of you flew the space instantaneously. Many of you felt the warmth, the cuddle of the mother and the father and the friends which you lost, and the ones who were far you could not reach. Now we're going to the next step. If in the space you run out of food in 2025 with NASA flight, or the fuel tank goes something wrong, you're not coming back, because we did not calculate the loss of food. We did not calculate the loss of fuel. With this technology, you go fed because you are the center, you absorb the energies of the universe. So with the new enhancement unit, with a new system which we have brought out, we move to the next step. We move to the direction of correct conduct to be. You suffer from any condition that, don't tell us I have a headache or a pain, because sorry, at the moment we are out of aspirin system. With the conditions, which is a challenge for us, what we understand, and we can extend the work for the next generation. We are interested to expand the technology. We are interested to bring the technology to the next level. And as we've always done with you, you have to feed us back to be able to do. Bring forward the knowledge which we need to learn with your conditions. And then we move forward to bring that next step in. Doesn't mean that we can process everything the first time, and doesn't mean that it'll be 100% successful. But if we can bring small changes and major changes, then we can understand there is a next step we can do. Join a Keshe Foundation. We'll put it on as a prevention unit. You come in, we set you up for prevention, which means you most probably take 3 to 6 sessions in the system, remote. You don't need to be in Austria, and it prevents you from the future problems. In a way, we give an insurance policy. And if you come up with a condition in 5 years, in 10 years' time, you come back to the system. The prevention package, which we'll put out, is what we call universal insurance policy. It is not the cheap way out of it, but it's a way that you come to us healthy. We try to keep you, maybe we might want you once a year to the system to adjust, in a way, strengthen the soul of you till the universal systems are everywhere. That, in a way, we offer you insurance policy for what we call processing of your well-being. In the next 24 or 48 hours, our team will put these on the Keshe Foundation website. We are not selling insurance policy. We just put the sources. You can come in every few months. I would like to reserve 1 hour or 1 session just to top up, just to gather energy. For the next 10 or 20 years, once a year, twice a year, you do that. This means preventing a lot of things. You suffer from the pain of the what it called betrayal of the husband or the wife, instead of ending up with a cancer, or you cannot handle the son, you end up with a cancer. You top it up. If it didn't happen 2 years ago, it happened today. Why should you get a cancer in 5 years down the line? You understand gradually the implication and application of this technology, what it means, what it will bring, and how it prevents the future problems, how it will bring the future forward. Go on the Keshe Foundation website. The way you supported us, hundreds of you, with the test flights, this time is for you. We don't give any kind of guarantees. Our doctors will go through it. They will assess the process and we'll see how the next step can be. You don't need to travel halfway around the world anymore. The remote system, mobile system now is tested, it works. And we do our own diagnosis, and then we'll see how the next step will be. Our doctors will take over, and as the physicians, they direct. Now we go for a break, if you can, and then we come back and answer any of your questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, we'll have a look at another a couple of videos from the Keshe Foundation, and we'll be back in a few minutes. This is the 459th Knowledge Seekers Workshop on Thursday, November 17th, 2022. And we'll be back in a few minutes, as I mentioned.
water is the foundation of our life. It is part of every living creature. Pure water gives you the energy of nature. Now, you can have this energy in your home. The Keshe Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer is designed for your daily well-being. It increases the pH of the water so your body can absorb more oxygen and stay in its natural condition during the day. Keshe Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer. Be pure like the water.
The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
Okay, we're back at the 459th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin the next part?
Yeah.
Okay, are we looking for questions from folks here and in our, or is there something you'd like to say first?
Not really. We are there as we done, and we are there to answer any questions as usual.
Okay. Let me just get the Q&A open here. Okay. We can start off with a couple of questions in the Q&A. I'll remind our attendees here that you can put up your virtual hand and then we can allow you to open your microphone if you'd like to ask a question. First one is from Carlos. Good morning, Mr. Keshe and all seekers of knowledge. It's about world population. It was estimated to have exceeded 8 billion in November of 2022. It took over 200,000 years of human prehistory and history for the human population to reach 1 billion, and only 219 years more to grow to 8 billion. What is our orientation regarding this event in relation to the universal community and the planet? Thanks for the guidance.
Not much. It's in figure very small to what this planet can support. And in reality, it's just another number man has made for himself. What happened? How many ants are on this planet? How many flies are on this planet? How many trees are? Do we count their population? They still consume matters, whatever, in their own proportion. We make these figures to feel we are important or we progress. Compared to some of the animals on this planet, we are not even near to their numbers. But they sustain life. They became to live with what the environment in that position gives them. So I always look at, I know yesterday, I think it was the 15th of November, where it was the milestone of passing 8 billion. And then they said the 15 years, I think if I'm correct, we'll get to 9 billion. India is supposed to take over China next year as the most populous nation. Some years ago, when we were about 6-7 billion, they estimated if you stand all the men with the size of their feet, Isle of Wight in south of England will fit all of them. What are we going to do with the rest of the population on this planet? Rest of the space we have on this planet. When you travel, vast fields are still empty. Nobody lives in them. We didn't live in them because they couldn't get water. Now with the new technology, can have all resources for life. We'll move into places we could never imagine we live. Central populations now are based by the rivers and water resources from what we call sweet water. With the new technology, there is no such a limitation. You can live in a space and come to Earth. You go to your office and go back to space. There's no high quality purpose positions anymore, the way we buy a piece of land for millions of dollars. All gone. All gone. And go more. The pharmaceutical business, once we start releasing this technology, will go through the floor the way we've seen in the past few weeks with Bitcoins and the currencies man tried to make with on the internet. They couldn't have enough gold to make it in the banks. There's not going to be much change. It's just more of us, and we always have found how to feed us. We couldn't feed 1 billion, we are an 8 billion miserable feeding. Walk in some of the supermarkets in the West. Walk in some of the supermarkets in China. Walk into some of the supermarkets around the world. And we throw millions of tons of food away because we have nobody to eat. There's no shortage. They like to make it because they get more something in the bank account, which I don't know what they do with it. But essentially, this planet can support another maybe 20, 40 billion. And by that time, as even now it started, we become passengers of the universe. Numbers don't count.
And I was looking at that report, and it actually mentions that the population is starting to level off on the planet. And that, for example, because of China's now recording its lowest birth rate in history, and India has just dropped below the replacement rate for its birth rate. And that's about over a third of the global population right there between those two countries. And they're not replacing people at their replacement level birth rates, as most developed countries are in the same situation. In Canada here, if we didn't have immigration, we'd have a negative birth rate.
Yeah, but you got to remember it's an instinct of survival. I want to have a life. Can I afford giving that life to my child? If I can't, I don't create. Most of the humans work that way. I'm a peasant and I have so much land and I cannot grow more than what I can feed 2 children. I don't create children. You find some idiots, they do. But the majority of common sense people don't do. This is how we control our population. Meeting the need of our children, our offsprings. That's the best control.
Mr. Keshe, how does it work in countries like Africa who they traditionally have had a birth rate of around 6.5 children per woman, and now it's actually decreased a lot. It's like to 4.5 or 4 now, but they have a large families. They have large number of children, yet apparently how do they support that compared to developed countries?
The land has done. The
land afford.
The two Africa up to now has a structure that in the West we have changed it with Social Security. Children, as you have, are part of a bigger family. So the whole family becomes responsible for the family, if you understand it. This is, when we used to work in Gambia years ago. I don't know if I've said this to you or not. I asked my driver, what do you do with the wages we give you? Because there was a complaint for the companies around us, we pay out too good to our way, to our staff. The way what we do in Ghana, and we run into problem with the government. He said, most of the majority of the money I get from you goes in a 50-kilo sack of rice. I said, how do you eat 50 kilo in 1 month? He said, no, when I didn't have a job for years, other members of my family who worked, they bought rice, whatever they bought. We'd all take a cup a month, one we need for a month, and then that's what it is, we live. So it's a family collection. That's how life in Africa is. And most of the families who can't afford more, they don't have any more children. And what the land can give you. We don't have that system in Europe. In Europe, we call it Social Security. You go get something from the government. The bigger family looks after in Africa. And they always bring limitations. And now that is connected gradually to monetary values, you'll see less and less children to be born, because now they have to go to school. Now they have to have some clothing or whatever, and the family strives, I can't afford this, so I don't create the children. Gradually we see the balance. China one-child policy damaged the nation beyond. Psychological damages of the one-child policy will show in the coming time. It's not the right way. All the one-child families, they had to find somebody to call a brother, to have somebody to know what love is, what they mean, because they didn't have the cycle to love someone. They were left with the grandparents, and the mother and father came once a year to build a nation. There is a huge problem in that one-child family of China. The population has dropped, but we have a huge psychological problems which are coming up now in the 40s, 50s, 30s generation of one-child families. We have to reach balance. And somewhere, some families will have one, some families will not have one, some families have 3, but in a way, economical conditions are forcing the numbers. And what would happen now that we move to the next cycle, once people understand children of the soul, it's not very easy to be a parent when you live through the children of the soul. It's much more difficult than children of the physicality. much more. It's not difficult. It's more pleasure to be with than spending time away with. When you hold a child of the soul, it's not a feeling of holding, it's a feeling of touching emotion. And it's a different thing, it's a different level of understanding. So population will dictate now financially, and then in the future, strength of the emotion. Don't worry about it, they can go to about 30 or 40 billion, this planet can still support.
And you mentioned before, we're going to need those numbers of people in order to have the engineers and scientists and so on to support the new plasma technology and to go to space.
Oh, no. Look at it this way, you said about the Canada, if you hadn't have the immigration, it would be negative. Go back to the statement of the Canadian government around early 2000, that the number of engineers and experts and technologists and doctors they received during the Iranian Revolution would have taken the nation 20 years to get these numbers. Immigration to Canada has brought mainly the wealthy and educated, which the other nations have lost. We don't see beggars off the plane with their backpack on them begging on the runway, do we? You see them all smart, dressed up and come out.
Exactly.
So we have these things, but as I said, would the guy work in Canada and go back and live in, what do you call it, Africa for lunch and come back home? Oh, this week I saw a beautiful news from Dr. Parviz in Dubai, being awarded one of the top, what do you call it, awards of the nation for his work in the field of the holistic level. As our doctors move to that level to become holistic, it means to cover all the soul and physicality. When the soul is satisfied, which does not create the illnesses of physicality, do we need the hospitals? I think this, what they call holistic, like Dr. Parviz, are getting recognized, and with the support of technologies like us to feed that technologically, will bring a lot of changes. As I said, it was amazing to see an Iranian now with all the situation in Emirates to be given such an award. And it shows knowledge wins over politics, as I said. And what we call, it's beautiful to see that these things are achieved. These things are achievable by what we call our scientists who understand both dimensions. And it is fantastic to see that borders knows, or knowledge knows, border doesn't know any borders. And it is beautiful to see politics doesn't come into it. Science stands on its own. And it's what we call achievement on its own level of what it is. What we call understanding of this. These are the next level, when what we call understanding the work of the soul brings the conditions into what we call improvement in the physical dimension. Any other question?
Okay, we have a hand up with Dean here, but before we get to him, I'd like to address a question in the YouTube from Plasma School Library Australia, who is Lisa.
Lisa
says, Hi,
She's
Mr.
used
Keshe.
such a mouthful name for herself.
Well, that's her YouTube channel, so where her lovely videos are stored. So, hello, Mr. Keshe. Can you give us a detailed explanation of the cosmic rays, please, in a plasma science understanding? Thanks, Lisa. I think she's
Cosmic
looking
rays.
for new material for her video.
Yeah. Cosmic rays are the rays, the fields, which have not found the matching balance to interact with, or are on the path to reach the field or environment that can interact with their field. In a way, they are like a lover looking for the love they have to meet, to interact, to create life. In a world of physical creation, we have a man and a woman lead to creation of a child, a life. The cosmic rays are the rays which are on motion till they come to interaction, to lead to a new cycle. Some of it could be fraction of light, some of it can lead to creation of new condition of life. But there are the energies, there are the magnetic fields in motion that have not interacted and are free and are called available for the next phase. Become part of your body if it's yours, of the same strength. Interaction with a body of a physical matter, planet or whatever, or with another fields that the interaction leads to fraction of other new fields of the cosmic rays that might lead to creation of the new cycle of life or a new plasma. They belong to the cosmos. They are not still have a name tag on them, that they become part of the human body or an entity. They have a strength which is very much connected in one end to a much powerful energy source. They are not usually, the cosmic rays, a bandwidth, a cut piece. They always have connection to their source, majority of them, because once they establish a point of contact and they go to the point of break and division, they start a new cycle. So they always have. It's like when we look at a star, it's always that light which comes to us is always connected to that star, to that point. They always have a point of reference. We can find out where that point of reference is, and if you can travel at the strength of, or at the, what are called rivers of this field, we can end up in most beautiful places in the universe. But it's instantaneous. This is what most of you have done in the enhancement unit. You instantaneously go somewhere. Any other questions?
Okay, that should give her something to go on there. Let's go to Dean and see what he has to say. Go ahead, Dean.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Mr. Keshe, I'd like to, first of all, celebrate and give to Door's beautiful life. Condolences to his family, and thank him for all the beauty that he's brought forward, and his wonderful soul that is now present in a condition where he can bring about the change, can connect and be the beauty that he is or was in this moment. Mr. Keshe, how does it change or bring about a condition when situations and conditions take a life however it's taken. Is there ramifications? Does this affect further on down the chain of the soul? How does the souls involve?
It's a maturity. It's a maturity.
Mm-hmm.
It's a point of cut. When we die natural death, we call it, at the end, is everything is prepared for it. All the cells deliver the energy, all the souls of the cells deliver the energy to where it's supposed to go. In a way, when you die in natural death, it's just like when you are traveling, traditionally you go from, let's say, England to America, family comes, each one gives you a gift or something to take with you. You're going there, you're not coming back. To remember us, the soul of the physicality and the strength of the soul of the man, they give all their energy as a gift to the soul to move on. Then you still have the soul, the physical soul of the body, which stays behind. But what we call, at a point of death, the soul of physicality becomes part of the soul of the man. It delivers whatever it carries. Then you have the soul of physical cells, which stay behind the physical body of the man. And it's progressive. It's like we know you're going, we give you everything gradually ready to go, and it comes to this point of tipping point. I cannot hold on anymore. You close your eyes, the field goes, and that's what we do in the machines. Your soul strength is bigger than the soul of the physicality. At a point of accident, that cuts off. The soul has not reached maturity, and the soul of physicality does not deliver everything which he has. If the soul of physicality is much stronger in a field than the soul of the man, the soul of physicality sometimes remains till it gives that energy to the soul. Separation is too fast. And we see this, we call it ghosts. It's the soul of physicality has not completed its transition. And we give reverence, we have it till it just delivers, till they find that it's like become like a twin star. The other one has to match up whatever is to be given. Cannot go anywhere till it's done. And this process is not much you can do. Sometimes we can give from our soul to the soul of physicality to get that bridge, to get that match up with the soul. There are a lot of things we can explain what happens physically. You say you see ghosts, you see shadows, whatever. These are what we call the spirit, the soul of physicality, which has not delivered totality what it was supposed to be delivered to the soul of the man for its elevation, for its move. What I call, it wasn't a smooth handover, something is left behind. And the soul travels, souls finds his position according to their strength where he should be. And it might have been another 20 years, would have gathered more, it would have been a different position.
So, Mr. Keshe, was Door's soul aware of this? Was his soul of physicality aware?
There are different ways of life. Soul of physicality bring us to a position of the handover, or the physicality moves that other things create that condition of the separation, like accidents. Some of the accidents are predestined by the soul. They have completed. Doesn't mean something is left behind. Otherwise, all of us die in a natural course. There's a very clear separation.
So, Mr. Keshe, can I just quickly say, sorry. So if Door, his soul, obviously was involved with his physicality, his soul, his body, his everything that he is. was involved with the foundation, who was about to bring about a very beautiful condition for the whole of humanity that could have brought about many, many beautiful experiences for many people in physicality and beyond. So if that has now been taken away in the physicality, how does that get dispersed amongst all the souls? How does that change within the field?
What do you mean? Explain.
How will Dor is now taken another position. He was put in a place, or his soul took into a position to serve and give to humanity. That's been taken away in whichever shape or form. So how will the souls involved around, or the physicalities around the soul of Dor that have been involved, how do they get accommodated?
It's something partially is preordained, partially is to be done. We can be accidentally, we can come to an accident, but if the soul is not ready to go, you come out of that accident. But if the accident is there as part of the process of the transition, the soul will do their jobs.
So let's take it to another position, Mr. Keshe. So when you have another person that is on a, let's say on a in a conflict zone, and they stand before another and they take that life with an aim directly, is this the same? Or if it's done indirectly through somewhere else, is it the same?
Not really, no. 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 There is, you and I can come up with a lot of examples of it.
Mm-hmm.
When you target deliberate to take a life, you're responsible for that life. You pay, you have to find a balance with your soul. This is how we see with a lot of soldiers when they come from war zones. It is not the gun and the blood, it is the guilt of what they've done and what they've taken that they have to pay for, or they have to release for the balance of what they've taken. And that brings a psychological condition. They say we've been to conditions, horrible places, and we've seen things, and then we are psychologically damaged. Ask a question, did you take a life? Were you the cause of a life to be taken? That everybody down the line pays, yes. Then you're responsible for it, you pay for it. You have to balance the books. Is that magnet, as I always say, Rick puts in the middle, everything has to come to balance.
Mr. Keshe, there are many ways of being on in that position. There's psychological positions that to cause many distress and for them to lose their physicality. So this happens in many different ways. It's not just in a war zone. It can be in many situations in normal life. This happens all
the time. 7 billion different ways.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the same all the time. 7 billion different ways. And plus all the animals come to an end in different ways. It's not just exclusively on man.
So the soul of an animal that goes through a conflict that doesn't have the same intellectual understanding that we believe.
It has.
Of course it has. I know it does, yes.
Yeah, I'm going in there to become the top dog. So I'll do anything. So if I do that, it's not instinct, it's my decision. You understand? It's a very, very simple, we call them animals, but have a look at them, they eat, they have an eating pattern, they know where to sleep, they know how to show affection to another one. So it's not just the animal, just because it suits them, they don't talk. They have everything as we have. They feel sorrow, they feel pain, they feel joy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's our imagination to justify that the man is better, is the king of animals, and he can do this and that. But they have to say, you see, when a whale dies, what the other whales do. You see, when a dog dies, what the other dogs do.
And this is the same, Mr. Keshe, for all our vertical friends
Everything,
and
of
all
course.
souls present.
All souls, even in deeper space, even in the cosmos. It's not the exclusivity of man, because man makes it exclusive. He's something special. The only speciality of the man is he thinks he's special, that's all. There's not much more to it.
Mm.
We would like to think more. We would like. In the past few days, I had to encounter a lot of emotions, which I never wanted to. But I woke up this morning, I said, why did I have to go through this? What was there for me to learn, and what was I supposed to bring for the others? You were there. We battled for a year to get things moved. I said, there's something wrong. I'm pushing it too much, and I come to agree that this is going to go somewhere, and I have to walk away from it because it's taking too much. And we opened the door of the knowledge back in the way it should be. I said, okay, we open this side of the way we've done today.
That will be a beauty, Mr. Keshe. When you give it this way, I think humanity can utilize it and bring it into manifestation with their thoughts and intentions. It's that coming down to a level that they can grasp.
You see, we did our best to bring this change, which I thought it should be there. Maybe it'll be there, but not, the time is not for it. In a few weeks, few days, whatever. And we put every effort to it. And trying to get that done, we directionalize the research to when it comes, the research will be complete. Now the research is complete. And the research is the asset, not what we try to do financially. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
What we were pushed in past 12 months to push the technology to where it is now, I'm sure if I would have done that decision, we would have been somewhere else, opening another factory the way we were going. But now the knowledge is complete. Now the totality is complete. Now the wealth sits with the knowledge, not with what we invest. And I know through the knowledge, the wealth will come independent of others. Because if we would have got, if we would have got what we got, they would have attached us to different organizations. You see, this is what they've done. They were always behind them. They just, now the knowledge, the technology, the wealth is Keshe Foundation. I cannot, and most of you don't see what has come out of the knowledge. When we produced this cosmic rays, we did this years ago in the flight system in Iraq. Every time I saw the cosmic rays, the light coming in and starting, it was just gorgeous to see it. This cosmic rays is not something new. Years ago, when I used to do the research in the lab in Belgium, I used to create these lights. We used to be on a hill. So the other hill across, and the lights used to go out. They could see these lights I was creating. And what we did, we put black bags with the cellophane and another black bag on top of it to block these lights that people couldn't see. The light was a space light, is a cosmic ray. It's a dusty white silverish at a high intensity. And I used to work in it. I could see myself part of it. If you go back to the unit, I used to do the flight system test, original flight system test, which then came out of Iran. Before Iran, I produced it in Belgium. If they haven't destroyed the garages, you see windows are all blacked out, totally blacked out. Because of the lights, I used to create cosmic light. So what is just getting achieved in our labs today is already been done 10 years ago.
Mr. Keshe, isn't there 7 million plus cosmic rays already walking around the planet Earth?
No, 7 trillions. What about the
Trillion,
animals?
there you go, yeah. Exactly, yeah.
So we see what it comes. So it's nice to see now it's shared. It's a common knowledge, and then it will become more common knowledge. Would you take hundreds of tablets a week, which some people do, 20, 30 tablets a day, one side effect of the other one, the side effect of the other one, where you're repairing the shakes and damages of the physical condition, not walking, where the actual thing sits in your brain. And if you provide the facilities for the brain to absorb what it needs, there will be no more shakes. So, do I need the medicine? This, what I call cosmic centers, farms, will change the history of the medicine. When we place, let's say 50, 60, 100 of them in Canada, or 50, 100 in US, 1,000 here, 1,000 there, you just dial a number and you get access to it. The system through the fields of energy will diagnose your illness, what it is, your condition, and again knows this needs this combination. So you sit there. People who start these processes with us is exactly as you are in a flight system. We don't sing you a song down the line, you hear absolute silence. It's the fields of your soul interacting with the fields of our system, and they find a balance. Ours is powerful, so yours raises. So you say, I'm helped, I don't have the condition anymore. That's all we're done.
So cosmic ray, Mr. Keshe, is a soul that interacts with the physicality?
Cosmic ray is soul from the universe, if you put it that. Connection to the soul of the universe. We call it the cosmic ray. If you look at cosmic and you want to change it, see what you can come up with.
So you can't change a cosmic ray, or you can?
Well, you can. You can interact with it. Cosmic ray is not one ray. It is an amalgamation and collection of many rays. I think I explained this in, I think it's one of the papers or in the book, I can't remember exactly where, I talk about translucent light. Translucent light is created by interaction of cosmic rays. It's what we see through the sky. We see other planets, but still it's not black that you don't see. It's translucent. Through it, we see other stars, other planets.
I think sometimes that's called the clear light as well, right?
Yeah, it's some people, depends what they call it. Yeah.
So these would be, these rays would be the primary rays, is what you were talking about, from source, basically.
Some of them, yeah, but not because they already interacted with something somewhere. It cannot be that some of it, very remote part of it, yes, but don't forget part of the rays we have in our universe comes from the unicos, which is interaction with other universes. You know, the way our sun shines in interaction with the fields of our Earth and become a daylight. our universe fields interacts with other universes, that the interaction creates what are called universal light. We are not aware of this knowledge yet. It's impossible. We call it cosmic plus cosmos. But when you speak about universal lights, the universal lights, some of it comes from the Creator. Because those universal lights are where the universes live within. We only speak about the cosmos, what is within us, within our universe. When you go to universal lights, then you talk about some of the lights coming from the source. And some of these lights, if they get through our universe, become part of what we call universal or a cosmic light. When you look at the back of book 3, you might just grasp some of it. We haven't gone to the source yet. We're still taking crumbs in our universe.
Mankind seems to be, because of its position of where it is in these moments, the crumbs seem enough, Mr. Keshe. Because when you've only ever had that,
crumbs of the crumbs, yes, it's happy with
it's happy with the crumbs.
We'll take what we can get.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. We take what might be on the table. And this is part of the whole totality. We hope our team can show what we call the units in the next few days. What we call cosmic energy units. And this will change the history of matter. This will bring something beyond imagination of mankind, because we will start a new path. We'll start a new way. We will go through a condition of new understanding, because with these cosmic rays, cosmic lights from the units we have, we receive higher order fields. We'll be enlightened. Always remember something which has a lot of meaning, depends where you stand with it. I spoke with this a long time ago. Go on the, what do you call it, music channel. There used to be in 1970s, 80s, a band called Hot Chocolate. Black guy. One of the first black gays who came into the scene. Very popular. And when you read about his biography, he says that he came, I think, from Jamaica with a mother. Mother managed to borrow money or whatever. She was working to the mortgage and bought what they call 2 up, 2 down in England, which is the working houses. The middle owners used to build for the workers. When you lost your job, they kicked you out of the house. And he writes his biography. I went to a school, a public school. I wanted to be a plumber, a cook, and a chef. The mother decides this boy is more talented to be a cook and a bricklayer or whatever. She rents one of the rooms, and from the rent of that room pays for him to go to a public educated. So she works harder. The money from the room, he changes the school from what we call public school into private school education. And he said, by going to the new school, now I wanted to become a doctor and engineer and professor. Books and educations were the same. The environment changed and the eye opened to different things. It's the same with the man. The knowledge is there. It depends what we see ourselves to be fit in. Cosmic rays have always been there. Now we learn the knowledge. What do we become, would like to be? Do we still want to be man to kill and do whatever we do and get in the back of a donkey and get on the rocket 100 meters tall to burn? Or we use the cosmic rays and we travel the same span of the universe? It's just that the enlightenment it brings. And that enlightenment comes by availability of understanding of what we could not understand and was not available. Bananas today are in every shop and on every table. 50 years ago was an exotic food. If you could afford. It's the same with the knowledge. Now the knowledge of the universe with the completion of this cosmic ray unit and what we call cosmic maglev unit is abundance of the new knowledge. Man needs a lot. That's what I said. Why do these nations fight for nuclear disarmament and somebody not to have, when knowledge above it is years and hundreds of years above it is available to the man? What are you fighting for unless you're trying to prove nothing? And we still treat each other the way we see, and we humiliate each other the way we see. It doesn't matter at what level we are. Humiliation is not just for ordinary man. For humiliation in the top levels of world leaders is worse. It hits harder to the whole nation. And we need to understand this. An example of it, if you listen to the daily news, every day comes and goes. Yes, as you know, there was a meeting. There's a meeting of the world leaders, G20 and environment or whatever together. And President Biden goes to Hanoi last few days, I think, and for a meeting. And the Russian foreign secretary arrives around the same time. Out of humiliation, the foreign secretary gets a red carpet. President Biden had to walk without the red carpet because 40 years ago, they brought this nation to smithereens with yellow, orange bombs and the rest of it. So in a way, it was a humiliation. We destroyed everything. We walk on what we destroyed. And the Russians were given a red carpet. And these are the things we learned. How much, what we do and what we take from it.
Isn't it time to forget, though, Mr. Keshe, remembering something that happened a long time ago, no matter how bad, is that bringing it forward in the right way?
Maybe they were waiting 50 years to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Yeah. What we call revenge.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's the wrong intention.
Yeah, but in the level of the soul, there is no revenge. It's accommodation. And what we see and what we do. It's a different ballgame. Mankind this morning, with what I explained to you today, if you understand it, has opened its eye to a new cycle of knowledge and technology and life. If you understand it. If you don't understand it, it's still like the workshop number, And some of you go to that workshop, after so many years, says, oh, this is what he said there. Now we understand. Some people understand the teaching of today. What we announce, what is to come, is a beginning, is actually opening up a new cycle for man. Now you're opened up that creation of the fields and energy, the way it's done in the universe is on the hand of everyone. Last week we spoke about the micro, batteries. We're slowly opening it. I have to make our team to understand. You cannot drop everything else and they can't see it. They make mistakes, they do explosions, they do everything. But the step by step with it, they understand it, they correct. We have brought one knowledge seeker and a bunch of people who have no knowledge about the knowledge technology, but they all have become better than you knowledge seekers. Because they start feeding it, they start understanding.
So being around these systems, Mr. Keshe, brings about change, a condition,
yes.
that cosmic ray is touching their very essence.
Of course it does. It feeds knowledge.
So if anybody that comes into contact with these cosmic rays are going to receive this elevation to this,
Depends
this energy.
if it has the strength that you need, yeah. I walked in there last week and I could see exactly what is going. And sometimes I tell them what's going to happen in advance. They just hear their voice, and then it comes to them a few days, and then the things happen. Oh, you said that time. This is what it is. I see a very clear line. Keshe Foundation is going to come in a huge attack in next week, 2 weeks. We are waiting for it to be taken off the lines, to be called the terrorist organization. They're working on it very heavy. They haven't stopped. And then we'll see how we come out. We'll see how things take shape. We'll see how the knowledge will take over. And we will launch everything to the best of our abilities to be at the hand of people. We're trying to stop it, but there are forces that think Keshe Foundation has not to be there because the knowledge has become too available. Doesn't suit. But it's there. It has to be. This is what I tell you. Any diseases you have, anything, just sign in today. Meet our demands, meet our requirements, and we'll step up. And we have accommodation for about 20, 30 people next week to go through the cycle. And you can start straight from home. If it means I have to work 12, 18 hours a day to bring as many as you to the line that we can have a full knowledge by our system to be complete, we'll do it.
Will the system, Mr. Keshe, receive the information like the flight room? Will it receive the knowledge of the individual coming into the system and being part of the
in a way, yes. Yeah.
So you're adding to the knowledge.
Yeah, to knowledge. I saw it in past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, past few days, how things are, how things take shape. How things will be. We don't have what do you call it, a limitation. We work on what is available. Just 1 second, please. Any other question? I have to finish in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Unfortunately, Dean, these people are all remote. You can't video them. Maybe we can record them for what they do or what they do. As I said, if you have any condition, go on there, health@spaceshipinstitute.org, and within the next 24 hours, 48 hours, we'll get back in touch with you. If we see your case is something interesting for our development. And we are looking for specifically for the conditions we asked. That is important for us because then we can handle the whole operation of the body of the man. We need the prostate cancer, which is a physicality in the extremity of the what we call dynamic part of the body of the man, with the emotion to the brain. We need the structure of the depression. If you have condition of the Parkinson or Alzheimer's, we have a requirement of the payment has to be met. Sometimes foundation can support part of it, and everything else which goes with it. It won't be people, this is my condition, yes. We are not asking for volunteers. You volunteer for this, then you have to cover everything else which you need. We take about 20, 40 people, 20 people, 30 people in next week, 2 weeks. And then as the other centers come into operation, like Arizona and Germany, we increase the numbers to hundreds because now it becomes a blueprint standard locking. And what we call universal cover on the wellness, we'll put it up there's going to be a decision what we see it to cost, how much you can use it, and you cannot come with an illness and then come, oh, I got it this way. It has to be in a way we bring you to a position, and then maybe once a year, twice a year, you use the facilities to upgrade, or what they call it, bring everything balanced in your body. As I said, we start governing, but we govern in every aspect that everybody is done, and then we'll see how it takes shape. To put this, what I call cosmic farms in position that everybody can access, it'll take 10, 20 years. It won't happen overnight. And it has to be done the right way. You've seen it, we put the health, the enhancement unit, they came up with the med bed. I wonder what else they come up, bed this time. And there has to come, when it comes from us, it has to come from the Keshe Foundation. You will see it, what it gives you, what covers you. And it's the next step to it. But the way you responded to the, what do you call it, to the enhancement flight, with this time, if you need that support of the wellness, you'll be handled by the doctors, not by the Keshe Foundation. We keep a central position in Spaceship Institute that, as I said, we open a center that all the information, all the doctors will go through this health link. Doesn't matter which part of the world you come. Then we drop you up to the country you come from, to Brazil, to Germany, or whatever, and the doctors will take you up. But one central position from the beginning through the health that Spaceship Institute.org is set up for this purpose. We are not individualizing into countries and everything. This is we started centralization from the beginning, and we keep it that way. But if you send an email, this is my condition, if our doctors are interested, we'll respond back immediately. Parkinson's, depression, Alzheimer's, specific cancers our doctors are interested in, the, what do you call it, the depression, the, what we call ADHD, fibromyalgia, ILS, FMS. We want to see how we can change the direction to the soul in the physicality. Don't forget, we've done the physicality to reach the soul for 10 or 15 years, and we've been successful. So now we're going the reverse, which is much easier. And most of you, if you like, you can, we give you a date when your situation will start next month, next week. But for the first ones we choose next week, we can take about 20 people for Tuesday and Wednesday. And you don't need to travel anywhere, you stay at home. It's the beginning of the mobile transmutation. When we said we started mobile, now we have to complete the health side of our system that we can support everything else. Any other question?
Okay, we'll try to.
One thing I have. Anyone, sorry, but anything with autoimmune system, we will not respond to. There's a reason for it. Autoimmune system is a physical condition, which is a complication of the interaction of the soul of physicality with the physical body of the man. More or less has not much to do with the condition of the operation in the soul and the brain. Autoimmune systems are a different kettle of fish in understanding of the work of the body. Carry on.
Okay, we'll try to get through a couple of questions here before we have to end. I'll go back to YouTube with Richard Eagle. Has a question regarding, if the animals and fish quit eating, will that not disrupt the natural cycles of nature and create imbalances before the rebalancing occurs to the new state of planetary plasma balance?
Always has been, always will be. How many of them have done this? How many of them animals. We brought them through our work into that extinction, and they found a way, and they're fighting back. There is a question here. Somebody I just noticed posted something. It says, fibromyalgia is autoimmune often, not a way. Fibromyalgia is the most psychosomatic effective process in the body of the man. Fibromyalgia comes from abuse, psychological, physical abuse. And manifests itself in total disability, and some people cannot even move because they're too tired, because the brain, soul, and soul of physicality are consuming everything in the brain, that there is nothing left for the physicality to have. That's why you feel drained, you cannot work, you're tired. Teach you something, learn something. According to research, what you call it, a scientist who works in the lab uses more energy, consumes more energy than a face miner, the one who's got a chisel and hammers to the wall all day, calorie-wise. Now you can understand how fibromyalgia touches you when the brain is engaged in acceptance of the submission of the abuse that has no time to feel the physicality. And when you balance that, there is no physicality. We've seen so many of the change in fibromyalgia, and we are 100% correct in that position. Fibromyalgia, CVS, are one of the most horrendous psychosomatic conditions created by abuse, when the abuser accepts he's the guilty party. And it's all done in the brain, not in the physicality. And when you sort that out in the brain, physicality just walks. And if you go to teaching, many times I refer to the people who have used the technology for this, especially in Holland. They call it the Lyme disease, some people, which is actually has no meaning. It just changes name. You go to Holland, it's called Lyme disease. You come to other countries, it's known as fibromyalgia. And they're associated with an animal, then they can justify it. One of the most horrendous psychosomatic conditions of abuse, known as fibromyalgia. And this technology is perfect for it because it sets the whole structure right way. You look at the person with the fibromyalgia, they walk bent, they cannot even stand up properly. They accept already submission. And it comes from abuse before age of puberty. And when it happens in a hierarchy, we know it as a CVS. And it's more horrendous because you have no energy left. These are research-based data which we have gathered over years, and it's not just random. And it can do. This technology is absolutely perfect for these things. And we see the effect on the brain and the expansion of the soul. We see to the expansion of physicality and everything else. Many of you suffer from joint pains, joint damages, ligaments, or what you call it, cartilage. Keshe Foundation has already developed the technology for this and tested, and it works perfectly. Very soon we'll release it like other cancers you buy from the foundation. But if you have any of these conditions, you meet our condition, you can start the first 20 people from next week. We are ready, because the systems are free now. We don't do any more flight tests. We have adjusted it. And the system is on what you call total test for what we call the systems. We are ready with the doctors to take over. Any other question?
Okay, we have a couple of questions on the prerequisites for the universal flight tests. One from a live stream is from Freed, who asks, from our part, is there primarily an attunement needed to connect to the cosmic rays or fields, or at least an openness to allow the fields to be felt, to access the infinite soul power based on free will? And I would combine that with the other question from Cristiano from Brazil. Do the 12 people who apply for the universal flight test need to meet some prerequisites?
No, none. None also.
And he's concerned about what will change in their lives. Will they continue to live their ordinary life and family and work and so on?
More or less, yes, should be. It's like Armstrong. What does it change? You just become somebody who's done it. And then it becomes natural. Everybody else does it. How many more people have been to space and come back, and we know every single one of them? Only their families and the community. The rest we forgot. The only one we remember is Armstrong, who was the first one who done it. It's like the first person who went in enhancement unit was a Bulgarian, one of our knowledge seekers. And the first couple will go through the Keshe Foundation space technology to moon will be a Russian and a German, husband and wife. We remember them because they're the people who took the first step. But the rest just come naturally. But we need to complete that.
And certainly the people, or at least many of the people that have come to the system, have been profoundly affected by it. And that will change them from that point going forward. And they might make some different changes, or different choices rather, than they would have without that experience. So certainly that could change things, but
oh yes,
it doesn't necessarily affect all your life and family and work and so on, depending. Some people it might, I suppose.
Yeah, it changes in a way, but you accept it to be part of life. You don't connect it to what you did that brought that change. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like we immigrate to the country and we live the life there. That's what we have, we live with, because it becomes part of us. And that's what it is. We immigrate to a new condition, we accept it, and everybody else lives with it. I remember a few years ago in Holland, we came across a lady with a COPD, which is a long disease. She couldn't walk meters without taking 10 minutes rest. And after the husband said, this is all fake. This is something where, you know, you're just grabbing people who need to do something. And the technology was, she said, I'm the one who's suffering. I can't walk 1 meter without standing 10 minutes to recover. And she went through the process. And about 2 or 3 months later, she went cycling and she started walking around, and she started living. And the guy they invited us to their home. And the guy said, I apologize, I didn't know it is now. And then we have a wife, we have a mother at home. And this is how life is. We bring the change because we understand it, but it's for the others that they brought that change to them to understand what is to happen. The technology is a revolution in the science. At least we are lucky up to now they haven't hung us like in pizza off the church tower yet. And And it's the next step in technique. It cannot be a start. A lot of you will come up with, a lot of scientists are coming with different conditions and positions. Any other question?
I have a question from YouTube from AM. Can you, good day, Mr. Keshe, can you comment on the conversation humans are having about some people's belief that the universe is a hologram and that this reality is holographic?
Well, that depends on you, how holographic life you live. It depends what you call holographic. What is holographic to you and to us? I call it life is a mirage.
In some cultures, the dream state is what they call reality, and what we normally call reality, they believe is the illusion. So in that sense, the things that we do in our waking state, running around and doing things, just adds to the knowledge of the dream state, which to them is more important than the daytime walking and doing stuff.
Yeah. It depends in what and how we do things, huh? How we see things. And how we appreciate what we see. Any other question? Or shall we call it a day?
Okay, perhaps one more from Jefferson Modesto from Brazil. He's asking, in a city of approximately 800,000 people, what should the government do to absorb all corona fields from the environment in order to protect the human population and the other living beings? And what guidance would you give to knowledge seekers who are in contact with these governments?
Governments will do what they like. Now we hear from, since what happened in the European community, that nobody believes about corona, everything we got to know about corona. And a lot of governments don't even consider it to be serious. We were expecting a lot of things this year from the governments regarding the corona, and we have not seen it. And is a condition. We know in China they're still extremely working on it, and what do you call it? We see European governments don't pay any attention to it, and some governments have totally abandoned this thing. So it depends how and where your community and your government sits and who sits where. Any other question? Shall we call the day? I have to go to a meeting.
Yes,
so.
right. I realize you have to go.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question to carry on till next week. You can think about thorium as an element that might be used instead of uranium. Thorium as a radioactive element that could be used instead of uranium and plutonium for a reactor or some kind of energy situation.
We don't work in that level. I don't see any need for that step of work. when you work in the cosmic rays are the creator of whatever plutonium, uranium you call. You're dealing with the mother. Why do you want to go into it?
You
If
always
look at
say,
it,
why deal with the middleman?
yeah.
You take-
Why deal with a foot soldier when you work with the generals, as I call it?
Yeah.
The cosmic rays interaction leads to creation of stars and life. Why do you go down the road? You can do everything. This is
perfect explanation in a very short sentence there, actually. Yes.
yeah. So it's just no need for that kind of things, and there is no need for it.
Okay. We'll leave it at that for now, Mr. Keshe. I know you have to leave, so thank you very much
for today. Please support what we call is for your benefits this time than the foundation, but the foundation benefits by it with gathering the knowledge. If you suffer from any kind of conditions and you think we can do, especially what we asked, and you can meet our what we call requirements, you can start from Monday, Tuesday. Doesn't matter wherever you are in the world. You don't need to come to Linz, and we can sort it out. Or we can talk it to see we might be able to support it to our engineers and to our doctors and technicians. We can bring that change. Thank you very much, and hopefully we see you next time. And thank you from my best parts of my soul to those that passed away the physical life yesterday. And I'm sure he has found the beautiful places to be in and start a new life with. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. And indeed, we give from our souls to the soul of Dor to help that transition if possible. Okay, thank you everyone for attending today's 459th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 17th, 2022. Our next public teaching workshop will be coming up on Tuesday, November 22nd, starting at 4 p.m. Central European time, which will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice. And that will no doubt be an emotional workshop with the loss of the Universal Council member as well. So we will hear from members of the Universal Council in that meeting, and people from the public are invited at the usual links found for the live stream and YouTube. Okay, I think that's it for now. Once again, thank you everyone. And we'll go out with the flight enhancement spaceship unit music version. And we'll see you all in the next public teaching workshop.